Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Welcome to Accelerated Health TV and radio show. I'm your host, Sara Banta. I'm a health coach, natural supplement expert, and a busy mom of three. Make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you are notified every week with my new podcasts on Mondays and Tuesdays. And if you haven't already, join my free group coaching on Telegram with the link below. There is no downside. I teach you on a daily basis with tips and tools to enhance your health, and you will be a part of a like-minded group to support you on your journey in addition to truly taking control of your health. Today we have back Kute Blackson. He offers a fresh, bold look at spiritual awareness for a whole new generation. For over 20 years, he's been inspiring audiences around the world, and his mission is simple: to awaken and inspire people across the planet to access inner freedom, live authentically, and fulfill their true life's purpose. Welcome, Kute. How are you today?
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
This is a topic that really gets down deep in my soul because I will never forget coming out of my rock bottom and realizing that that was the source of my purpose in life. And that it's in those dark moments where you grow and where you're forced to get that grit and really dig deep in what you need to change and work on yourself. And I hear you talking about today's day and age, the confusion and the chaos that's going on in the world, but that provides opportunity, right? And so this is kind of where I was looking to myself, and in the confusion and chaos of the dark depths of where I was an opportunity to find my purpose in life and help others. Can you touch on that?
I think when we go through challenges and when we go through difficult moments and when we go through dark nights of the soul and when we go through moments of confusion, I think there is an opportunity where something more than we know about ourselves, something more than we know about life, something more than we know about what we thought was, something more than before is seeking to be birthed and seeking to emerge. And so in that difficulty and challenge, I think challenges are, you could say, soul tests and gifts that we go through in order to grow through so that we can learn and evolve and realize more of who we truly are. And I think in the process of life, we go through a certain phase of experience. We go through relationships, we go through something, we learn what we need to learn, and then we come to the end of a phase. And I think at the end of every phase, we kind of face certain challenges that force us to integrate and learn and embody everything we've learned in that phase up until now so that we can, let's say, spiritually transcend to that next phase of growth, that next phase of life, that next phase of expansion and possibility. So I don't see challenges as negative. I think challenges and difficulties force us to dig into and find parts of ourselves that perhaps we weren't fully in touch with, and force us to fully embody the deeper dimension of knowing that has always been there, that perhaps we haven't been living fully, and force us to integrate that and live that and embody that fully so that we can step into that next level of consciousness and power and soul force, so to speak. And so I think tests and challenges are a blessing, but they often come gift wrapped in crisis and difficulty. And so I think even in the moments of darkness, because we all have those moments where We don't know what to do. We all have those moments where we're confused. We all have those moments where we feel like giving up, and we wonder, is it worth it? And we wonder if we can even continue. If you've maybe had some of those moments, and those moments can seem so hard, and it can feel so challenging and alone, like God, the universe, like I'm just by myself here. And that feeling is, look, it's difficult being a human. It's not easy being a human with all its ups and downs and heartbreak and pain, and still to be willing to open one's heart and love. So in a moment of darkness, we often think darkness as something negative or something bad. But on a spiritual level, I really feel that there is a gift in the darkness. If you're in the darkness of your life right now, where all seems lost or all seems dark, and you don't know your head from your tails, and you're wondering what the hell you're doing in your life, and you've been spun upside down, I would say do not despair. The darkness provides a gift. It's in the darkness that alchemy, it's in the darkness that metamorphosis, it's in the darkness that transformation happens. We all emerge from the darkness. And so when there is darkness in your life, the gift is that, in a strange way, you look outside and all seems dark. And that darkness forces you to go inside. It's the darkness of life that forces you, because when there is light outside, many times we have distractions. When there is light outside, many times we can be so focused out here, but when there is no light for us to hold on to, the darkness forces you to go so deep inside, because there is no light to look at elsewhere other than to go inside to find the light of your own soul, to find the light of your own being, to find the strength and the light of your own spirit. And so in that sense, the darkness orients you inward to yourself, and that is the gift. And even though it's not easy, I think if we're able to ask ourselves, okay, like, who am I really? Okay, what is the lesson my soul is seeking to learn through this experience right now? What is my soul seeking to evolve through and understand in this moment? And I think the more we can learn those lessons and evolve and grow and expand, the more we can tap into a deeper dimension of our light, the more we can, let's say, transcend the darkness and come into the light, And so I think there's a gift in the darkness. So don't be afraid of the darkness, because often it's in the darkness that we actually find our true light, and a light that is unshakable.
Yeah, I have 3 kids, as I mentioned, and every time they go through a big challenge, I always say to them, I'm like, I'm so excited to see what God's going to do with this. I'm so excited to see you grow through this. And you are going to be learning a lesson that most 50-year-old women and men don't even know. Because really, if you think about, if we didn't have challenges, we would just be numb and going through life, very
unconscious, asleep.
Exactly, asleep. Yeah. And this wakes you up. It strengthens your muscles, just like you go to the gym to strengthen your physical muscles.
Yes.
You need to strengthen your soul's muscles, and and your mental, spiritual, physical, all in one, to take that next step forward. And the goal is not to retire and live on a beach and drink margaritas all day. I mean, how boring. Yeah, that'd be fun for a day or two, but people have in their mind that, okay, if I just get through this, then it'll all be fine. Well, no, that's not the way it works. You have one challenge, you grow, then you're going to be dealt another challenge. That's part of life. So this all gets down to our purpose. What is the definition of life purpose?
I think it depends what level you look at, and you look at it through, and you consider it through. If we start on the sort of biggest level, the spiritual level, let's just start there, and then we can break it down. But I think that if we acknowledge that we are not just this physical body, that we are souls. You talked about souls, right? You were just mentioning this whole evolution, this lessons, this learning, that we are souls. that we incarnate into this human experience to learn, to grow and evolve. That life itself that we are existing and living through is the university for our soul's evolution. Life itself is the curriculum, and everything in life is part of the curriculum for our soul's evolution. Every situation, every experience, every relationship, every heartbreak, everything that happens to us in this human experience is part of the curriculum and the classroom for our soul's evolution. And so if we understand that, then we can start looking at life in a whole different way, rather than looking at life in a in a one-dimensional sort of ego perspective where we are just physical bodies and we look at life from this happened and that happened, which is very one-dimensional: success, failure, married, divorce, and this is it. You know, from the perspective of the ego, the purpose of life is very limited. But when we expand to a more expanded perception, expanded way of seeing who we truly are as souls, and that we incarnate in order to learn, to go, to evolve, then life takes on a different context. Life becomes more about evolution. And then the purpose of life is not just waking up, going to work, having babies, having a car, having a house, going on vacation, and then dying. Life becomes about the evolution of your soul. And then you start seeing that every moment of life, every experience in life, basically all of life is the purpose for why you are here. And all of life, this moment right now, becomes the very purpose, so long as you are learning and growing and evolving and using every experience to learn, grow, and evolve. Then all of life really is serving your evolution. Every experience is serving your evolution, so long as you're learning and realizing more of who you really are. So then the purpose of life is right now. The purpose of life is every moment. The purpose of life is evolution. And in every moment, you can evolve. I think so. So at that bigger level, that's the purpose and that's the gift of every moment of our lives, you know. And so, you know, you mentioned something, but yes, sometimes we're often waiting to reach a certain point in life where, oh, when I get to this level, then I'll have no more challenges. When I can kind of achieve this thing, then I have no more challenges. And for me, the whole point is to not wait for some special moment in the future where there's no more challenges, or wait for some special moment in the future where where we pray for the challenges of life to shrink themselves, to get smaller. I think part of it is to develop our mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, psychological muscle capacity, soul force, so that we can handle bigger challenges, so that we can surf bigger waves. So when we can just accept the purpose of life is growth and evolution. My soul doesn't care about comfort necessarily. Doesn't mean things can't be graceful and in flow, but my soul doesn't care about comfort. My soul cares about growth and evolution. When we embrace that, then we can, I think, have a whole different relationship to life. We can show up and meet life differently with less resistance, so that when challenges and difficulties and tough times and things happen and the waves of life begin, like the storms happen, we don't resist and go, oh, why is this happening to me? And resistance. We can surrender. We can just throw our arms open and say, I know what the purpose of life is. It's like to surf the wave so I can grow and evolve. And so that moves us into an entirely different acceptance and embrace of life as it's unfolding, where we're no longer resisting life. And I think when we're no longer resisting life, we're able to then embrace life fully. And then we're able to flow with life fully. Then we're able to tap into the deep, profound gifts and learnings of the challenge of each wave, of each problem, of each difficulty, each opportunity, so that we can use it for our growth and evolution. So at that deeper level, I think that's where our purpose lies. Now, on a, let's just say, a human level, more on an ego level, people might be saying, well, what do I do now with my life? What is my purpose? To me, your purpose is not something you necessarily do. That's a job. How you express is a whole different thing. And I think at different stages of our human incarnation and evolution, how you feel to express yourself and life and gifts in the world, that shifts as your consciousness expands. As you evolve, there's different stages of what you feel the expression of that purpose may be on a daily on a daily basis. And so I always tell people, stop seeking your purpose. Your purpose is this moment. Your purpose is evolution. Stop seeking your purpose, because often this constant desire to find your purpose can actually take you away from the very purpose that is now, and giving the gifts that you have to give right now where you are at. Because 10 years from now, as you grow and evolve, the way you choose to express that may be very different as a form of expression and purpose. And so I tell people, start where you are with exactly what you have, and respond to the need in the moment, and go in the direction of what lights you up. Just move in the direction of what lights you up, what makes you most alive. And don't get attached to the outcome, because the journey you go on will take you on a journey of growth and evolution, and your dreams, your desires, what you think you're here to do is evolutionary. Encoded in that is a learning, and the person that you evolve into and become is part of the preparation that you need to expand into, so that you're perhaps more ready for the next stage of your gifting and your purpose in life. And so if you move in the direction of what you love, you take a step, even if you don't know where that's going to lead you, even if you don't know how that will look exactly, you take a step, you go and evolve, you go on the journey, you evolve, you expand, your consciousness expands. Then I believe life will show you, life will reveal to you in the process of living, in the process of taking the step. Life shows you what's next. Then you take another step, and then life shows you what's next. And so often what happens is your purpose of your own unique personal expression is a revelation that is revealed to you in the process of living life itself, not necessarily something to sit back and figure out from the level of the ego mind and find, but you end up living into. And all of a sudden you're like, wow, I've lived into this, and I didn't know that this is where the journey was going to take me. But if you didn't take the journey, you would not have grown and evolved and developed into who you needed to be able to have life reveal to you the full, authentic expression, perhaps, of what you're here to gift and share with the world. And so take a step, move in the direction, respond to the need in the moment, learn, grow, and evolve, learn the lessons. And I think that's where people can really start.
I love everything you just said, but especially when you said don't pray or hope for your problems to go away.
Yeah.
You want to pray that you are able to gain strength and grit to get through your problems and grow through the lesson that you're supposed to learn to become the person to take on the next challenge. And, everyone always prays for, more money, more freedom, more ease, better marriage, whatever it is. But why not pray for getting the strength to go through this challenge currently, so that life is a journey. You are either going to go with the flow, or you're going to be a salmon swimming upstream all your life, right? And as a child, I was a type A personality, still am. But it was how am I going to get from point A to B? And now it's, okay, where's life taking me? I might go through the whole alphabet before I get to where I'm supposed to go. And I might never get to the point B that I thought I was trying to get to. So I love that, where you truly are in the present. And it's such a cliche thing to say, but when you really talk about what does that mean, it's mind-blowing. It's almost like, okay, right now, this is what I'm doing. I'm on a podcast. I'm talking to Kute and this is what it is. What can I gather from this experience that I wasn't even expecting 30 minutes ago, right? So, will you talk about 4 things that help you carry or supercharge your life? And
Okay.
I really wanted to discuss that because, number one, there's so much mental health issues right now. And I'm going to get into some of that with diet and supplements at the end. But our kids are suffering ADHD, anxiety drugs, depression drugs, all-time high, social media. we're feeling trapped. Parents don't know what to do. Parents are overburdening, or they're not there. So then you've got all of these things that are going on in your life, trying to just navigate getting out of bed and doing what you're supposed to do, let alone supercharge your life. Right? So can you talk about the things that go into that?
Into
Supercharging your
supercharging.
life and
Yeah, I think it came out, the question, this conversation arose because people would often ask me, how do you have so much energy? Like, how do you have so much energy? Like, I literally just taught last week my leadership apprentices, and we're doing 3 modules, 9 months, but I taught them for 5 days, and the seminar time was almost about 100 hours of teaching, close to 100, like 85, 88 hours, maybe, give or take, of teaching time, seminar time, literally in 5 days, nonstop. And so people say, how do you have energy? What's the secret? Like, what are you taking? What's your supplement? What's your biohacking? What's the thing? What's the thing? Oh my God, what do you do? What do you put under your bed? What do you drink? And so, look, I'm very much into health, and I'm very much into supplements, and I'm a big believer in the stuff that you do. And I'm all about it. Like, I mean, my supplement cabinet, I love different products and trying different things just to do my best to optimize my physiology and this body and my mind. And but I was having a conversation, and I was telling this person that, look, health is not just a matter of what you do or a pill that you take or just what you eat. It's a state of being. It's how you feel about who you are. It's how you feel about yourself. It's how you feel about your connection to those around you. It's about how you love. It's a state of being. And so you can pop all the right pills and do the right exercise and eat the right diet and be miserable and still lack energy if you're not connected to a deeper dimension of yourself. And so for me, these things are, shall we say, supports and additions and complements to being connected. And so for me, health is a state of beingness. And I believe that there's a innate intelligence that is inside of every one of us. Every one of us, there is an innate natural source of energy, source of life force that is living and breathing and functioning, all of us. You cut your finger, it knows how to heal itself. It knows, if we keep it clean and provide the right environment, right, it knows how to bring itself back into harmony. And so what I was telling my friend was, you can take whatever pills you want. You can take whatever green powders you want. And I love my green powder. Take it every day, every morning, take my protein. I mean, I do it all. But I was saying, if you don't deal with the mental, emotional baggage, the mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, unresolved baggage from childhood, from experiences, from relationships, and if you're carrying around so much unresolved, undealt with pain, hurt, fear, shame, guilt, resentment to people, to situations, to your ex, then you can take whatever you want. But if you're carrying this old energy that's stored in your heart, if you're holding grudges and not forgiving people, you are going to be exhausted, because it takes so much energy to carry this stuff around. It takes so much energy to hold on to pain. It takes so much energy to not forgive. It takes so much energy to betray yourself and hide who you are. It takes so much energy to carry self-hatred. And so I think for me, I told this person that one of the first things is you've got to deal with your sort of internal conditioning and deal with the unresolved feelings and emotions that take so much energy and drain us. Is to face these things, to acknowledge these things, to feel through these things so that we can release these things and let them go, because all feelings remain present until fully felt. And so to me, part of like supercharging your health is really an inner process of having the willingness, the humility, the dedication, the self-commitment, and the courage to say, what have I not processed? What have I not acknowledged? What am I still holding on to? What am I still carrying? Is it worth it? And having the courage to be honest about it, to feel it, so that you can release it and let it go. And so that for me is sort of an inner process. of transformation and healing, do the mental, emotional, psychological work. Secondly, in this conversation with this person, I was talking about there's a source of energy inside of us all. Like energy, life force is our natural vitality. We are not just this physical human flesh and body. It's an aspect of what we are, but the real source of energy is from being connected to the source of what we are, is being connected to the source of our own true spirit, our own true beingness, and the more we let go of the emotional layers, the freer we get, the more our energy, our chi, our prana, our energy starts to flow, the more our body comes into harmony and energy can flow through the physiology, and the more energy we access. And so partly finding a spiritual practice, whatever someone believes, Christian, Buddhist, Shinto, Jewish, whatever you believe, connecting to a deeper dimension of God, energy, source, divine mother, whatever people's belief system is, that source of life force energy that transcends this physicality, that we are infinite beings, really. And this infinite energy is flowing in our body as consciousness. So connecting to source through meditation, through prayer, through spiritual practices, I think is a way to tap into another dimension of energy and intelligence that is the life force, the breath that we are. And the more we connect to that, I think the more we tap into that energy, which is unlimited, the more energy can flow through our body. The other thing I said was, I think sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves, in my problems, in my purpose, in my life. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, we have to take care of ourselves. But in my children, in my life, in my worries, in my concerns, in how am I perceived? Does Sarah like me or not? And so we get so caught up in the meanness of things that can be a bit small at times, that we kind of go into a self-contracted energy and self-focus that is limiting. And I think that part of energy is tapping into living service. Part of really sort of accessing more energy is tapping into a motivation and a purpose that is bigger than yourself. Because many times, I can't even talk about this as much as you can. So you're a mother. I'm sure there are many times to 3 kids. Like, to me, you're my hero already, right? I can only imagine there are probably moments where you didn't have energy, you didn't feel like it, you were tired, you were exhausted, but your kids needed you. They needed something from their mother, and you just had to tap into something. If it was just for you, you would have just passed out on the bed and just gone to sleep for the weekend. But you couldn't. And because of that love, that service, that commitment to something, a child, bigger than yourself, you tapped into. I'm sure you've done this from the moment they were born. You tapped into another dimension of energy that maybe you didn't even know was in there, that you found, that you accessed, that you connected to in order to serve your children. And so whether it's with a child, whether it's with a loved one, whether it's for a cause, a foundation, or a community, or a purpose, when we really start living life for a purpose that is bigger than ourselves, we're able, I think, to transcend ourselves and access a deeper motivation. And that can give us energy. But if we're just doing it for ourselves, I think our energy, we often give up and our energy is limited. And I think the last thing is just basic self-care. Many times we want to serve the world and make an impact, but if we don't take care of ourselves, whether it's through exercise, whether it's through the spiritual practices, whether it's through supplementation, that foundational self-care, we will only be able to serve people at the level with which we're able to take care of ourselves and our habits and our routines. Because if we don't have energy, the thing is this: if you can have the greatest intention on the planet to make a difference, but if this body, even though it's not the totality of what we are, if this physical body doesn't have energy because we're not taking care of it, we won't be able to give. We won't have this sustained energy. Sometimes we'll give for a moment and then we'll crash. But if we are taking care of this physical structure the best way we can, we won't have the apparatus, the biology, to be able to take our love and our purpose and share that with the world. We won't have the vehicle. And so self-care, I think, is finding things that really nurture us and take care of this physical body as a vehicle for consciousness, the vehicle for our spirits, so that our spirits can use this vessel to live love and share a purpose with the planet is key. And for me, that's a deep commitment to self-care.
You are just, in a nutshell, emphasizing the fact that it's not just physical, it's mental, spiritual, physical, all intertwined as one. And I love what you're saying. Yes, there were those dark days where I was just scraping myself off the floor to give my kids what they needed. But at the same time, I have always been taught that you need to take care of yourself before you take care of your kids. You need to take care of your marriage before you take care of the kids. That's why when you're on the airplane, you put the mask on yourself before you put it on your kids, right? So you have to be, because your kids also are watching what you're doing. They're not just listening. You can't just tell them what to do. Don't touch that. Don't drink. Don't do drugs. They're watching you and your behaviors. And that also gets into, before we get to that, the grudges, letting go of resentment, clearing all that bad energy. That is so heavy. That's so taxing. And that's not affecting the other person. That is affecting you. You don't need to be around that person anymore, but let go of the grudges. Focus on the people that are fulfilling your life, that you're fulfilling their lives, and steer with that. I was actually had an experience in the last week where I was with some people from my past, and I've changed a lot since then. And nothing bad happened. There was nothing bad, but I just left the situation going, that wasn't, it brought back just energy from my past. So I'm like, not bad people, bless you from a distance. I'm moving on. This is who I am today. But I wanted to emphasize the fact that you do need to do self-care, but you do also need to give. And that giving, and that's why they also say being a parent is the hardest but most rewarding job in the world, right? But this touches on the importance of looking at childhood and those formidable years. And they call them formidable years for a reason. You're in that age where everything affects you to a much deeper level than later on in life. So how do you overcome some of those challenges that are with you? I guess they're affecting your ego or your vision of self from your past. How do you grow out of that? How do you reinvent yourself?
Yeah, I think it's a big question, and that's the nature of my work. And I'll be honest, to be fair, I don't think it's like a 17-step formula. It's a process, and I think this is perhaps the process of life. The entire process of life is a process of transformation, and transformation is not an event. It is a process, as we are human beings that are imperfect with issues and stuff. And so we're all conditioned from birth. And so I think firstly, the degree to which we are conditioned is the degree to which we're not free. The challenge is most of us, we're not necessarily aware that we're conditioned. We just think that who we are is who we are. We just think that what we are is what we are. We just think that this is just who I am. And so because of that, we don't even question. We just keep doing and living life. But the challenge is then we keep experiencing the same experiences over and over and over again until we perhaps hit a point of so much pain that we're forced to change. And sadly, sometimes it's only pain that forces us to change. So we have to be willing to question ourselves, like, who am I? And what am I? And why am I? And what do I believe? And is this working? And am I willing to change? That's the key thing, because sometimes we work on ourselves. Even those of us that are conscious, we work on ourselves to heal something, but deep down, we don't really want to change it. We don't really want to heal it, because shifting or changing or transforming is a threat to our perceived sense of identity. And so look, if we really begin from the beginning, we're all whole, perfect, and complete at the core. This is how we incarnate into this human experience. We're whole, we're perfect, we're complete. A child, you look into a child's eyes, they're in touch with the divine essence of life. They're in touch with their purity. They're in touch with that unconditioned nature of their being. But we meet our parents, and as amazing as parents are, they're doing the best that they can do based on their life. And I don't think there's a way, even with the most enlightened parents, that it's avoidable to get conditioned. There's pain, there's trauma, there's hurt, there's just stuff in life, in school, in education, with friends, getting bullied. And so, for some of us, we had very challenging parents. Maybe dad was an alcoholic. Maybe mom was crazy. Maybe they were fighting. Maybe they were amazing people, but they didn't know how to meet our emotional needs. And so in a certain way, that was painful to not have those emotional needs. And, our parents aren't perfect. So there's going to be some times that certain needs aren't going to be met, and that will have a scarring or impact on us. And so I think just having awareness in the way in which we're conditioned, first and foremost, to become conscious. The first thing that happens is we learn all sorts of strategies to shut down, disconnect, not feel. Often unconsciously, in response and reaction to life. We shut down, disconnect, not feel, suppress, layers and layers and layers and layers of unfelt feelings and emotions, pain, hurt, resentment, sort of build up the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness and, disappointment. We don't want to feel that. So we suppress, we deny, we numb, we lie, we disconnect, we overanalyze as a way to not feel the pain. And those layers build up. And before you know it, our true authentic nature and essence kind of gets hidden underneath the layers of unfelt feeling and emotion. And we kind of erect a mechanism, a defense mechanism of control to not feel the pain. And so one of the first things I think we have to be willing to do is acknowledge this, and have the courage to acknowledge the feelings that we have not allowed ourselves to feel. And then that takes, that's a process of life. That's a process of living. That's a process of experience. But just to have the willingness to acknowledge, okay, what are the feelings I'm not feeling? And often these feelings get triggered in life, and these feelings get triggered in relationships. You attract someone into your life that somehow in relationship, often romantic, but can be work and business and career, friendship, that somehow, especially in romantic relationship, that somehow just knows perfectly how to trigger certain layers of that pain that you haven't dealt with. And so many times there's an unconscious impulse inside of us as human beings to heal. And based on that unconscious impulse, we begin to draw to us people that resonate and vibrate at the same energetic vibration as our unresolved feelings and emotions that we haven't dealt with. And we draw them in as a way to activate, trigger us so that we can face these feelings and deal with them and let them go. So we have to be willing to feel our feelings, not to wallow in them, but to feel them, to acknowledge them, to release them, to let them go, because all feelings remain present until fully felt. And the feelings that we don't feel fully will tend to express in unhealthy ways. And so it's a process of just acknowledging each layer and feeling each layer so that we can release each layer, layer by layer. And the feelings that we don't feel will get stored inside of us, manifest as emotional pain. Many times the feelings that we don't acknowledge and feel will manifest in our health as maybe a temporary physical ailment, maybe an ongoing physical disease, get stored in our bodies, get stored in our nervous system, in our tissues. And so many times our body will speak to us. And so I would say, if you have some pain in your life, don't run from it, don't avoid it, don't suppress it, face it. If there's physical pain, don't run from it, don't deny it, don't suppress it, face it, and ask yourself, what is this physical pain? What is this pain? What is this disease? What is the message? What is it trying to tell me? What is it trying to communicate to me? And so feeling and acknowledging those feelings, and then we also get conditioned, because we go into life and we kind of do this dance. We become the person, again, unconsciously, we become the person that we think we need to be in order to get love, validation, and approval from our parents, from those around us. And we start contorting ourselves into a certain shape to become that version of ourselves, to develop a role, a persona, a mask. We become the nice one. We become the over-responsible one. We become the, overachiever. We become the funny one. We become the kind one. We become the yes person. We become the, easygoing person. We become whoever we think we need to be to get love, validation, and approval. And now we contort ourselves to that shape. We hold so tightly to that version of ourselves that it becomes who we think we are. But it's not necessarily who we are. It's just what we've been conditioned to believe ourselves to be, to function and survive. And so we have to be willing to question ourselves. But this, shall we say, this way of avoiding feelings and contorting ourselves and developing roles, masks, and personas, the version of ourselves that we become, not only is it limiting, it's ego. Ego is the sense of identity, or what we have identified ourselves to be mistakenly, and often why we resist changing, why we resist looking at ourselves, why we resist transforming, why we resist letting go, why we resist healing, even if we know we need to, is the ego doesn't want to change our perceived sense of what we believe ourselves to be, because the version of ourselves that we've become is often a creation in reaction to things that have happened. And it's the only way we know how to avoid pain and get certain needs met. It's survival. So the ego's job is to reinforce its existence. And the ego's job is to protect us from getting hurt again, like we were hurt back then, to ensure we never feel that sense of helplessness and fear and disappointment and rejection. So when we talk about like healing and questioning myself and letting go, ego doesn't want to change. Ego wants everyone else to change, but it doesn't want to change. And that's why we resist and we distract and we deny and we do what we do. And so I think if we're willing to acknowledge the ways that we're conditioned, if we're willing to acknowledge our pain, and then if we're willing to be gentle with ourselves in the process and not just be like, I should just heal right now, I should just surrender right now, but just to meet ourselves. I think the first place is to also meet ourselves with just the spirit of compassion, to know that we've all, as human beings, we've been through so much. We're delicate, we're tender, and there is a reason why we have been stuck. There is a positive intention for why we do what we do. And rather than judge ourselves, just to begin meeting ourselves with a sense of grace and understanding. And I think healing happens when we can apply loving. And I think this is a key to true health and wholeness and healing, when we can apply loving to those parts of ourselves that are hurting, when we can meet those parts of ourselves that are hurting with a bit of compassion, with a bit of grace, because underlying every behavior is a positive intention in some way, maybe not a positive behavior, but often when we see what we're doing and who we're being, and then we start judging ourselves tends to just reinforce the very thing we're judging. So to be able to just meet ourselves with, wow, I'm scared. Wow, I'm hurting. Wow, I see why I'm sabotaging, because I'm protecting myself. And so if we can meet ourselves with tenderness and grace and compassion, healing can begin to happen. One of the things that we can also do, which we may have spoken about before, is in that process of loving and compassion, to begin telling ourselves the truth. And I think one of the reasons we stay stuck, often unconsciously, because we're conditioned and because we're afraid, is we're constantly lying to ourselves about what we feel, about who we are, about what we want. Oh, I'm fine. I'm great. No, this is who I really am. Okay, I agree. I'll do that when we know we're saying yes when we mean no. And so if we're just willing to just take a practical step and ask ourselves, what lies am I telling myself? Because there is no transformation and true healing without truth. Truth would look, what lies am I telling myself? What am I pretending to not know? What is it costing me? Because if we stay in relationships that we know are not aligned, or we work jobs that we know are not aligned, or let's say we have an addiction, or we're drinking alcohol, but no, I'm fine. Nothing is wrong. And just even starting by telling the truth, that might sound something like, I have a problem with alcohol. I have an issue in my relationship with alcohol. No judgment, no shame, no guilt, just acknowledgement. To me, this is a beginning. I'm no longer in love. You don't have to break up. So take the pressure off of yourself from having to do something and just acknowledge the truth. I'm no longer in love in my relationship. And see what that brings up. Maybe grief, maybe pain, maybe heartbreak. And that begins a process. So someone can start by simply telling themselves the real, the raw, the honest truth.
Amazing, Kute. I wish we had another hour with you. Can you tell people where they can find you and about your event that's coming up this summer?
Yeah, people can find me. Number one, check out the book, The Magic of Surrender. Go to Amazon. It's on sale there. The Magic of Surrender, Finding the Courage to Let Go, a simple roadmap to living surrender and many of these concepts that I've been talking about. Secondly, yes, the event is something I'm very passionate about. For the last 10 years, I have done a very special transformational event in Bali, Indonesia. And I've done 20 of these events in 10 years, minus the years of COVID. And they're life-changing. We have people from all walks of life. And so if you're someone that you feel a calling to make a difference on the planet, you feel that you're here for a purpose that is perhaps bigger than yourself, you feel a commitment, a readiness to heal yourself and your conditioning, and you're ready to connect to your power, express your authentic nature and share your gifts with the world, then I invite you to consider this event. This is my last year actually doing this particular event. It's called Boundless Bliss, the Bali Breakthrough Experience. It's a small group. We take about 18 people at a time, so that the commitment is deep, and we go deep into an experiential immersion, seminar, training process experience that is designed to help people strip away their layers of conditioning. And it's really powerful. So the next event is July the 28th through August the 8th. That's July the 28th through August the 8th. You can find out more, www.boundlessblissbali.com. That's boundlessblissbali, BALI.com. Yeah, people can find me Instagram, Kute Blackson, Facebook, Kute Love Now, and my main website, Kute Blackson, Kute, Kute Blackson, my name.com.
Thank you so much. We're going to have you back. This is a big part of health, everybody. And thank you, Kute, for joining us today. Just to want to touch on, before we go, a couple of the supplements that can help open up that connection from your brain to your body, your physical and your spiritual health, and get you out of the depression, the anxiety, the fog that's holding you back. The new Cognoblast is a brain enhancement supplement, helps enhance cognition, increase ATP production, increases learning speed, decreases anxiety, improves motivation, all of those amazing things. And then when you add in the acceleradine iodine is known as the #1 spiritual element in the world for a reason. Iodine deficiency is the #1 predictor of depression and brain fog, and also hypothyroidism. So when you connect all of those, if your body's not working, your brain's not going to get out of the fog. And then with the iodine, with the acceleradine, you're able to connect your brain, your spiritual health to your physical health. So just wanted to touch on those before we go. And you can always contact me through my website, sarabantahealth.com, to help you with your mental health issues or your physical health issues. I'm happy to put together a protocol for you. Join the free group coaching. It gives you that support from on a daily basis from me, with tips and tools to enhance your health, with the group of a like-minded group to support you on your journey. And you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram under Accelerated Health Products, across over 100 channels under Accelerated Health TV and radio show, including YouTube, Stitcher, Pandora, or whatever podcast platform you subscribe to. Join us every week, Mondays at 2 p.m. Pacific and Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific. You can use coupon WELCOME10 for 10% off site-wide at sarabantahealth.com. Thanks for joining us and have a great week.